interject what I'm saying, because we are again conforming to other cultures, and we will go into that arena and discuss that. But a girl grew up knowing that a girl should do this, A, B, C, D, and a boy should do this and that and that. And the girl's behavior was formed or shaped by what she saw the women doing. And the boy's behavior was shaped by knowing what the father was doing. So I say that I was privileged to have a father and mother. And this does not, whether it is a stepmother or mother, it was a privilege, because I had to see what my mom, that mother was doing, that made me know what a woman should do. And of course, there are many things, of course, other disadvantages of not just growing with your mother or not just growing with your father. But I'm talking about if in cases where the father and the mother are the ones who gave birth to this little child, even here in the countries where we are, that it will be the best development for a child, that a child should grow with its father and its mother. And if that is not the case, even in other cases where it's a stepfather or stepmother, these people should also play that role, that a stepfather should be really playing the role of a father, and a stepmother should really play the role of a mother, that the child growing in a home should be able to be nurtured. A boy should look up to the stepfather in that case, or a girl seeing what the stepmother does. But today, here where we are behaving differently. And of course, we'll go into these arenas because we're talking about people sharing. This week, your kid is here, the kid is there. And of course, Mr. Mugisha, I was talking about that privilege, that having a father figure and a mother figure is so important in a child's development. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I had to draw more attention to that, knowing that there are those watching us, and we have different perspectives of child upbringing, motherhood, and fatherhood in the diaspora. Some people call it the arrivalism, others call it the culture shock, others call it simulation integration. Different concepts are used on this. But you two highlighting that growing up with a father and mom should mean something. Maybe it could be a message to a Mugisha out there who was planning on taking a route that doesn't prioritize this. Lady Jovia, you somewhere cited out, as you explained, what culture means to you, a manifestation of beliefs. And here, Lady Judith brings in the three aspects when you come to a new culture, that is complaining about that culture, confront it, and either you conform to it. Yes, now I want you to ask you, maybe you could share from experience or expert knowledge, Lady Jovia, you being a mother of children, one born here and the other in Uganda, are there cases where you've been entangled in a dilemma of manifesting a typical Swedish culture in your child's life and a typical Ugandan culture or norms in your children's lives?
Yes, thank you, Moses. If we're asking the plain question of have I been faced with a dilemma, I say yes, and I keep saying yes every day. And I keep saying this to the people that I socialize with, that I have taken on challenges in my lifetime, but I have never been challenged like being a parent. This is a challenge that is ongoing, and it has made me evolve as a person. I have learned how to see things the way, first of all, I have learned how to make sense of why I do what I do, because if I don't, I knew that I needed to make sense of that if I needed to pass it down. Why I'm emphasizing this is that we come from a culture, I have noticed or I've experienced, that we do things because we have been told, and the culture that we have been presented with, that the one that we are with now, right now, would be the Swedish culture, presents a different dilemma of being able to explain to no matter how old a child is, why they are doing what they are doing. So I have to be able to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing if I am going to be able to pass that down in a healthy manner to my child. Because the passing down is not a problem, but am I going to be able to do it in the appropriate way? So the dilemma has been there. When you talk about having a child that one was not born here and the other was born here, there is definitely a difference, and I think Judith would be able to add on to that, because when she stated that she came she left Uganda at the age of 17. I have actually had the privilege of discussing this topic with someone that was in a particular situation with you, and I wanted to understand what they were going through as children before we start imposing on them as parents. What we know, what do they feel as parents, and the fact that the different ages at which these children are presented with this situation plays a very big role, more than we think. The older the child gets, the more they feel at home with their peers, the more they hold on, they pick up values. So moving away from home, you're not just taking them to a new place. You're removing what they know. You're taking away their normal and you're bringing something completely new. They lose friends, they lose their world. So while they are going through this change, parents focus on transmitting. We are focusing on other things. I'm not going to pick on what we are focusing on, but when we're in the place of culture, we are focusing on things that may not be what were the primary needs of the child in the situation that they were going through. That you be wanting to impose, as you have chosen as a parent, to either teach them this culture or to hold on to the culture back home. But we need to put into focus what are the needs of that child. And the older the child is, then the bigger the needs. The one that was born here, I don't think he actually understands or experiences it to a great extent, like the child that was not born here, as I have experienced. That the other one often reflects, and if given the opportunity, tells you the things that they would want to maybe bring here, or maybe go back there, maybe visit. But you keep seeing the bridges. Because I'm talking about the one that was not born here. My child was 3 years when they moved. So I didn't have the exact picture of, I didn't want to speak for the children that have not been born here until I got the perspective of a child that has come here a bit older. And when I did, I talked to someone that came older, as old maybe as Judith did, and I actually understood that there was so much that they were going through, and neither worlds that they belong to or are supposed to belong to actually gave them the support, still gives them the support, or even at least understands them. And in my discovery, I felt it was sad that these are the people that are supposed to be carrying it on, and they have not been supported. And we think we're doing something, but we're actually not. Yes. Is there anything I have not answered?
No, you've actually answered, and you've actually given a broader picture of what I actually asked. And I want to thank you for that. And to you, our dear viewers watching us there, I want to thank you so much. There are those who are dropping in comments here. Yes, I'll go back to these comments. But as you spoke, you reminded me of there is a lady here called Irene Bisaso. She's doing a PhD on issues to do with children. She has a very popular statement every time you're discussing children, that children are not human becomings. They're human beings as well. So as we nurture them, then we should put in mind that there are things that are actually installed in them naturally. So sometimes we end up trying to create new values or sentiments or mindsets in children Yet we actually need to just shape those we discover. It's more like thinking that you can introduce a talent in a child's life. Yet you only have to discover that and carry it on. So thank you for those insights. Alex Palalumpa, living in Denmark, also drops a comment here saying children learn by observation and action, but not by telling them. Simoji Remy, he also lives in Denmark and is one of Euroforum regular guests. He says, okay, thanks for the topic. And yes, truth be told, we all need a sense of belonging. We can't integrate into these foreign cultures minus knowing our own. In fact, even this new society will embrace us, in brackets, our children, for being who we are. Yes, identity is an ideal to ease integration. So as our children gain more confidence to associate, to assimilate in this new foreign society, having known their roots. Simoji also adds that the dominance of our child's culture is the responsibility of any parent. It doesn't matter if single or both parents. What we teach our kids in most cases is what they become. Picking it up from this comment here by Simoji John Remy, where he indicates that we can only introduce this culture. Okay, not only, but it is easier to introduce new cultures in our children's lives if they are well rooted in theirs. Theirs is their native. Do you agree with him on this? Lady Judith.
I wanted to get your question once again.
This statement, somewhere in his comment, he says, in fact, in this new society, sorry, let me take it afresh. Yes, truth be told, we all need a sense of belonging. We can't integrate into these foreign cultures minus knowing our own. Just holding it there. Do you agree with him on that?
Yes, I agree that our culture, the cultures that we already have.
Okay, yeah, my additional question on this. If you agree with him, if you're comfortable, how old are your children?
Our kids, we have a boy and a girl. One is 8 and the other is 6.
Culture. Because this is what, okay, to me it's a bit disturbing, the statement, because if the point is you have to root them in their native culture first before you introduce the foreign culture. So the question is, at what age? Of course, it may vary from parent to parent, but just picking it up from you, if you agree with him.
I agree with him, and we started at a very early age and of course, at home, we start with our native culture, what we have already. I will not say that I myself as a mother am 100% only Ugandan, because like earlier I mentioned, I also came in Denmark at a very early age, at 17. So by then, I must have assimilated cultures from Denmark that I'm also passing on to my kids, unknowingly or knowingly. So in this aspect, I agree that I'm trying to first actually impose the culture that I came with from Uganda, and then add on these, because I myself am a mixture of two. But like I mentioned earlier, the ones that I met in Denmark that I thought were not good, that have not passed on. The ones that, for example, in our country, we are told to be bold enough we are not told to be bold enough to ask our parents. For example, why are you doing this? When a parent says, eat your eggs, eat your eggs, for example, you're supposed to eat. You're not supposed to say, why? Why are you giving me this egg? Me, I don't like eggs. You're supposed to eat. At the beginning, when we had our kids when they were little, I was also giving them things and telling them, do this, because I was told that way. But as the kids are growing, they're also asking me why, because they learned this in Denmark. So now I'm trying to combine both the culture that I have, teaching them that this is good, but also what you're asking me that why, then I explain, why am I giving you the egg? For example, I'll go in and say, okay, it's good for you to take fruits at school because fruits have vitamins. What our parents, they were just imposing information on us, but they didn't tell us why. But we should be able, now you, the parent of today, you are a diverse parent. You're coming in with these good cultures and values that, like we talked about earlier, but then you're meeting a child born here, and this child, for example, like Madame Jovia mentioned, that our children, the ones who are born here, they are not white, but they have that mentality because they go to these schools, you know? So they have this foreign mentality to them.
Sorry to cut you short, but what I understand from your explanation is that both cultures have to be introduced in a child's life simultaneously.
Yes, and depending which child, the child who is born here, you should do that. But a child who is already coming into the country, like I did at 17, has already a backpack full of cultures and beliefs. So they land here and they go into a culture shock. Let me give you another example. I came here at 17 and I found out that kids receive money at the age of 18. Oh my God, I was excited. I didn't know this. Where I come from, kids at the age of 17 don't even touch money. You don't even get close to your father's wallet or whatever. So you must be able to explain to your child why they receive money. Okay, for example, and of course, we're going to talk about where we have failed as parents here in these countries as African parents, and where we should, I think, amend our ways. And like I mentioned before, there is no perfect home, but we are learning from each other. I'm learning from Jovia. Jovia is learning from me. I'm learning from you, Mr. Mugisha, and even our viewers with their comments and interjections. So you come here and then you meet, you're confronting a culture. How are you conforming to it? Are you going to allow your child to walk, become gay, for example? No, you're going to explain why it's not good to be gay, why it's not good to be a lesbian, why it's not good for a child to hold such amount of money, why you should share bills, for example. So you should be able to know which child are you reaching out to. Is your child born in Denmark? Is your child born in Norway, Sweden, wherever? Is your child coming from Africa at the age of 18, 17? How do you engage? Sit down on the table, talk about these things, because it's about being open, but also open professionally, or I would say maturely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. There is a comment here from Moise Hannington. He's a gentleman living here in Norway. Yes, before I read that comment, to you, Lady Jovia, there is somewhere you actually, Lady Judith has just brought it in, where you say that you need to know which child, as you're striking a balance and introducing these cultures, which child are we discussing in this context? So there is a saying, which I also believe in, that you can only give what you have. So we parents in the diaspora tasked with the challenge of raising children, balanced children, where I want to feel they know where they belong, or they come from, or where they belong. So knowing that you cannot give what you don't have. Mugisha here in having a child, but I personally haven't integrated maybe to a level that I should have. And now I have a child on me who needs to be taken through series of integration. What's your take on this kind of dilemma? Because you have to know a child, there are aspects you have to pass on, but again, you can't give what you don't have. You're also still a child in context, you're a child of integration. And on you have a child to nurture. So how do you share thoughts on this?
Thank you, Moses. Thank you for the question. And I also thank our viewers for their interjections. And before I make my submission, I have to say I'm very grateful for Sister Judith for all your submissions, because like you said, we learn and learn from each other. And I'm actually learning a great deal. And using that as an example of what I'm going to talk about, because I'm going to go very broad. Because I think we keep pitching on the topic, but let me give my apple, the whole of it as it is. I'm going to put it out there. We so that everything
perfect.
meant to discuss comes from it, and then we can, I'm tired of picking on it on the side and we may repeat ourselves.
Please just do that.
Like when she says things and then I see, okay, this appeals to me. Okay, I'm learning from this. I am changing as a person. You have to realize that you're not the same Muganda that is in Kampala right now. You do not have the same Baganda cultural interpretations like the person that is there now. Why? Because something has rubbed off you, whether you have intended to or unintentionally. But the fact that you have been introduced to other things, other environments, you as a person have evolved, whether you intended to or not. So in that whole contribution, I want to say that culture is fluid. It is going to keep changing. But how are we going to be able to use this for us and not against us? Like you said, Moses, how do we learn us as children of integration, as immigrants, and us as parents of children that are now belonging to more than one culture? So when you talked about assimilation and integration, and my sister talked about how we're going through this complaining or complying and the processes that you're going through that. And while I was looking through this, I came across a term that I actually didn't know, but now it helps me to understand this situation a little bit in a broader prospect. And this is acculturation. Acculturation actually encompasses four terms. It's assimilation and integration, and two more terms, that is separation and marginalization. That for us to understand how each child is going to be impacted, you have to look at all these four principles in detail, so you see where your child is at what stage and how to help them. Acculturation in general is going to be the assimilation from a different culture, where the major culture is taking the dominance. And when you say we're going to pick up their language, you learn how to dress like them, how to talk like them, their mannerisms, how to socially interact like they do. But then how you're doing that is dependent on how you have been impacted as a person. Like we talked about the age issue, we've talked about the families where we are coming from. We're talking about, like, we've not talked about this, but our economic situations as parents that are impacting onto these children have also, like I heard from the child that I talked to, have also impacted how we are actually impacting the way they are integrating into this culture. So for those four terms, we have talked about assimilation. That one we know that we try to find the culture and then pick the good things out of it and see how to deal with it. And everyone feels like, yes, this is the right thing. But there's also there's going to be friction while you're doing that. Like you said, you're going to tell your child you need to be dressed. In the summer, people are moving around half naked. You're going to tell your child you need to wear, fully dressed. But my friends are walking around naked. And then you want to impose the fact that your parents told you a no is a no. But then my child comes back home and then starts saying, Mommy, they taught us a song. I'm like, okay, I would like you to hear it. And then he starts singing. I am responsible for my body. I make my own decisions. And everything that is concerning me is my right, And this is the energy we are fighting. Like we talked about it, but we are going through these situations, and you're going to ignore it. But this individual is developing as an identity. Like you said, it's not a becoming, it's a human being. It's had its own processes going on. Like you said, Judith, when you've come with your own culture, now that one for you, you're going through that battle yourself. You're not even asking your parents. You're going to go to the school fully dressed in summer, and your parent and your peers are looking at you like, what is wrong with you? Can't you afford, some short shirts? Can't you see how hot it is, And then you have to you're battling that, but even your parents that have come to this culture do not know how to help you, or have not learned how to help you, or we're not learning how to help them. So how are we going about this? There's another, after assimilation, there's another one of separation. Separation is what I have seen, or I have found out that most of our people, as the first, how do they call them? We the ones that migrated here.
First generation or something.
Exactly, thank you. First generation immigrants. We are holding on to, where you hold on to your values and you completely avoid what the others are doing. They teach you know that back home food is supposed to be cooked for 6 hours. You know that what kind of food can you cook in 30 minutes? That's not food. So cooking is always half a day, but you've come into a system that is so valuable. It takes time. So, time is so valuable that 6 hours is a waste. And then we are failing. You're holding on to, your food, but you're also not learning something new about, you're not learning at all that, okay, I may not be able to eat matoke on a daily, but I could try eating what the food, like we have potato mash here. That might be an easy option for me to cook for a child that is coming back home and has an early day tomorrow, and they will need ease on their digestion. So they don't need food that stays in the stomach longer than it needs to. So that's where separation is being hard for us as parents, that we are imposing, but we actually we have not made sense of why we are imposing. And then there's the integration. You maintain the cultures that you have. We speak our mother language at home. We communicate to each other in Luganda. But when the children whether the child is at school, they are using Swedish as the language of communication. The child aspires to learn the language, is engaged in active learning of the language, and being able to understand the best out of it. So, like, you're not exactly losing yourself as a person, but you're appreciating what is out there. Then in that way, that process of evolution helps you to make a better judgment, I would assume, because you're not exactly saying no to new knowledge, but you get it and then you put it on your weighing scale as you know best and see what to pick out of it. And then there is marginalization, which is the opposite of integration. And what I've also, which I also realized is a very big fear that us as parents have not looked at, that our children are being marginalized, that they have minimal interest in what we as parents provide as culture, because we did not provide the basis of it, and then are trying to find themselves in this world. Where I'm saying trying themselves, because you may think when you see them trying to act the way that you don't want them to act, that they're acting Swedish, but they're actually not acting Swedish, because Sweden is never going to accept them as completely Swedish citizens. The policies are going to show that they are being accepted, but there is always that silent segregation that is going on, and our children are facing that friction, whether we are as parents acknowledge it or not. Our children actually don't see themselves as immigrants, if you have noted that. They are immigrants, but they're also not seen as citizens, and I think that places them in a very alarming place, where their mental health is put at stake, their socio-cultural adaptation is compromised, there is stress coming from which culture they need to maintain, and then their self-identity is also questioned. So their personality is not going to is going to be affected by factors that they may not be able to know how to deal with. And I think I'm hoping I have wrapped up everything in there. Yes.
Thank you so much, Jovia. You've actually given, in terms of food, you've given a buffet. Yes, and maybe I'll wait for the dessert. Thank you so much, you, our dear viewers watching us out there. Allow me read these comments here before Judith chips in. Moe Sannington says, thanks for the program. Please note that culture includes many things like religion, behavior, norms, food, beliefs, etc. The question which you're discussing requires concepts like psychology, sociology, anthropology, etc. To discuss it properly, having said that, I must say that we have to borrow some issues from the Erikson's theory of human development. In this theory, we can see stages when a child learns to inculcate things. Remember, children learn from both the surrounding environment and what they see and what they are told, particularly when they are in a stage or stages. He refers to Erikson's theory. However, believe it or not, children pick and learn much from the environment they live in. That means that they will pick much from the culture where they're growing up. I mean the country. Thank you so much, Hannington. Zita Kevin also says, me, I think culture is not important. But teaching a child what is right is what is important. Let us just give children what is best from your view and from the country where you're staying. Okay. Simoji also adds that the children born here need a special treat on how to show them their cultural roots. So that the children so are the children who came from Uganda. We just have to adjust and choose our techniques on how to nurture and instill their sense of belonging to our kids based on their age and where they are born, as they embrace and balance the foreign culture. Thank you so much for your interactions. Iguru Atochi, Judy, Netherlands, greetings to you. Ken K, greetings to you. Thank you for tuning in, and maybe others that may not have seen. Jovia, you gave a very big package where there is a lot to blend in. Like you two have agreed that there is a lot we learn from each other. I must confess on camera that I never knew the opposite of integration. In as much as, if you ask me, my other word for the opposite of integration was totally different from marginalization. So thank you so much. Okay, now looping from a few aspects you've cited out here, like you highlighted acceptance that our children may never be accepted fully. That I'm compelled to agree with you. Citing out an example of our former Indian ambassador to Denmark. So she was an Indian. And of course, many Ugandans found that strange. Yeah, that we have an ambassador who is an Indian. But these people, Indians, have, if I'm not mistaken, they have slightly close or over 3 generations in Uganda. So ideally, we should have embraced and accepted them, the fact that they've lived in Uganda for so many years. But still, serving in such a position, it is questionable. So, and I think if you just pull a thread to your child living in Sweden, Denmark, North Carolina, London, I think it's not indifferent. But back to you, Lady Judith. Acceptance, in as much as we work so hard, looping into the topic, which culture should dominate? Knowing that your dear ones, your dear little ones, at one point may not be accepted if we take this for being a fact that may not be fully accepted. To you, looking ahead of time, how would you imagine yourself curbing this or working towards this?
Thank you, Mr. Mugisha. These topics really stir my heart so much because I'm a culprit to this. And I may be the evidence to what people are watching right now. To parents who are here and you have a child who came here at the age of 16, 18, growing up, I faced discrimination. I faced unacceptance. And I was told you have to study, and I don't know what I didn't study because I studied.
I want to add something.
I love that.
You continue, Judith.
Yes.
I'm sorry for what you went through, but I'm also grateful that you took the high road and decided to see it in a positive way, because while I was doing my research, I've actually realized that not many us parents have actually told our children to study. We've actually told them completely different things, and that's a story for another day. But I am grateful and that you took the high road, and I hope you didn't regret it.
No. And I'm going to touch all areas, and I'm using my, first and foremost, I thank that I still hold the culture of believing in God. I think that's where I should have started. I started when we were talking, because that has helped me swim through all the challenges. They can tell you to go be educated and do everything. I did a bachelor's, I did a master's, but still, because of the color of your skin and in the country where you are in, like the Indian ambassador, it's very easy for us to see these things in the lenses of others. Let me start this in Luganda. Abadeni ba racist, Abaswidi ba racist, Abafinishi ba racist. It's very easy for us to term these people as discriminating and racist. And you can come with all your doctorates, you can come with your PhDs, masters, and all these things, you will still be discriminated. I've met people with doctorates, I've met people with PhDs. In fact, I wanted to do a PhD because I thought I would be accepted at a PhD. But I've met people with PhDs who are not accepted, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from all sorts of countries. But do I say that we give up? We don't give up. But I thank God for Mr. Mugisha and your topic, because this is a big topic. And let the viewers learn from us as we learn from them. Because your kids and my kids are going to face these things, whether on a wider scale or on a short scale, and this will determine on what they are carrying through. I wanted to highlight a bit that when your children can see that you're also confused with your culture, you as the parent, you've come to these countries, Norway, Denmark, you're taking up all these cultures, your kids can really, there's a gentleman who sent a comment about the Erickson study. Your children learn by imitating, and they learn a lot with what they're seeing. So even if you don't say, but they can tell that you're a confused fella who doesn't like where you're coming from. Sorry to use that word, fella. Yes. But they can tell that you like where you come from or you don't. And they can tell that you appreciate where you come from, even without you saying anything. And you've done nothing about it. Me and you have not done about it. And I'm saying, me talking, I'm not perfect. We are all learning from each other. But your kids should be able to see what is going to help your child, my child, our African children to triumph in these countries. It's not us going back, because even going back, sometimes when I go back in Uganda and I see the girls I studied with working in banks and all these things, I can see that I've also detached myself from them. Even when we are friends, we have detached ourselves. But even the place where I am right now, I see that I'm not a den. Am I going to bleach myself to become like a den? Okay, if my PhDs and masters have not worked, no. But it's what you as the parent, whether you are a single parent or it's a father and a mother, this does not matter, but what you're teaching your child. And recently I've learned from my own kids that many of us parents, even with the unspoken language, we are sending information to our kids. Number one, of course, we don't have enough time, but I'm learning a lot when we come into our house and our child says to us, Mommy and Daddy, can you please take your phones off? Wow. This is one way of trying to communicate and speak to us. And I'm saying in these few hours, like Madame Jovia said, the few hours you have with your child when they come home, what are you passing on to them? Fathers and mothers listening to me. You're either going to cry when you're a grown-up, when you see your child confused because you passed on the confusion, or you're either going to be happy and say, oh my God, I passed on the right things. And nevertheless, around our communities, we have developed, okay, yesterday I just perceived something that in Europe, children are taught to be independent. And in Africa, we are taught to work collectively. We are taught, you know, someone here in Europe can be in a room and be comfortable alone. Can you imagine? And that is insane, and it's not good. So what are you passing on? Are you letting this child lock themselves in a room and you don't even go there because you're busy with your phone? You don't even go and see what they're doing? I'm telling you, me speaking, not just because I'm a pastor's wife, because I have people who I want us to listen to us, but I'm also learning a lot in this house, in our home, that we refuse to have TVs in our rooms so that our kids can have TVs in the house, because we want to have them look at us or share one TV. Bring on those cultures, those things that you learned from home that are good. Pass them on. Tell them why you're passing them on. Don't just stop at just teaching and saying do's and don'ts. Don't just list a list of do's and don'ts without explaining why. Say why we need to share the TV. Say why we need to sit on the dining table and eat together. Say why you need to say sorry, why we need to forgive each other, why dad is late. Explain that. Why dad is coming early. Why am I not picking you at school? Why? Explain these things. Don't let other people teach your children. Don't let because your child is especially our children growing up in these both cultures. One culture is pulling them one side and the other is pulling them aside. They are going to grow in this environment confused. And what comes out of confusion? We are seeing rates of mental issues rising in foreigners. Stress. We come from a country where stress is not even a disease. In Uganda, come on. Is stress a disease? No. But we are seeing Africans being stressed. Yes. We are seeing Africans being stressed. Why? It's because of the confusion. Parents are passing on. Be a stop to what you don't like and try your best to teach your child what you learned. If eating a fresh made food, if teaching your child how to cook food was good in your home, teach it. Don't just do microwave pizzas and all these things. I know time is money here in Europe, but again, you're going to have lots of money, but lose a generation.
Exactly.
Right? Yes. We have to mix up these things. And I thank God that I came here in Denmark and I allow many people to speak into my life. That's why I'm able to speak Luganda even after 24 years. I'm able to speak Luganda because I allowed this openness that, I cannot live on my own. Europe teaches you to be alone. That's why wives are sending husbands away, husbands are sending wives away. Everyone, and the child is learning that, what? It's at work, I have a friend. She told me that she was tired of being with men or married, and then she had to go and get a donor, someone to donate a sperm so she can raise up a child by herself. So what is this mother teaching this child? Some of us are not just getting donors, but we're also assimilating with these things. And we're teaching our child that, it's okay to be alone. Or it's okay even to, don't go out to play. Mothers, fathers, let us allow our kids to go out and play with other kids. Let us allow other parents to talk to our kids. Let us allow these things to infuse in us, because in Africa, we grew up collectively, and these things will help us, even in these countries that we're in. I know there are so many things. Someone will say, oh, that one, you cannot take the village out of her. But, yes, it's okay not to take the village out of me. But I rather have a good product, because coming in Denmark at the age of 17, I suffered these unacceptances, even after being so studious, even after making so many years in school and doing those things. I found myself, I wish someone at a very early age told me that it was okay
Yes.
be different. You know, it was okay to be different. Thank God it's not too late for me. But right now, maybe we are speaking to someone who is already giving up. They have not even visited their country. You know, give the child all these things that they have to have. Let them choose, but explain why. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I want to appreciate you too. I don't mean to say that the other guests are not always so secure, but you sound so secure. I work with kids, with children, and the value we or they, the parents, hold so dearly is to have their children be taken care of by secure adults. You sound so secure, and I want to thank you so much. To you, our viewers, there, Nsereko Zahara drops a comment here saying that my daughter always complains that the moment I switch to Uganda, I speak in volume 10. Me, on my side, I'm excited about talking my mother tongue. Yes, okay. We are about to wind up. I'll make a few interjections here, but Jovia and Judith, our last spot of concern is the question of which of those core values, norms, anything you may name them, that you feel, in as much as we integrate, in as much as we learn and unlearn things, that at least these ones, I've held them and I should hold them and pass them to my children. You could be speaking from your circles, from your perspectives, but as well, sharing a sort of inspiration. Because the reality is, one thing I always argue, I've had clashes with 2-3 people here, even in my first year in Norway, where I argued that regardless of where I am, Norway, not even in the White House of America, there are those aspects that should define Mugisha Moses, regardless of where I am. Talk about inspiration, integration, change. Gende Buliembwa, Smanyo Liembwa. There are those aspects that when you meet my OG in St. Kalemba, my OG in Katikam, someone I first met in Norway, and maybe those I'll meet in the next 5 years. When you ask them who Mugisha Moses is, they will describe those things. So back to you. I will need you to share with us those aspects about the Ugandan culture that you feel that despite the levels of assimilation and integration, these must be upheld. But before you do that, I will, drop in, also share from personal experience, from what you two have said about being open and letting our children speak and question us about things. So as we discuss cultures, we have to learn or unlearn. I've personally appreciated a lot of bits from the Norwegian culture and child upbringing. I have 2 children, a daughter of 2 and 9. The one 9 years old is in Uganda. But in as much as she's still in Uganda, but there are things I've copied here and inculcated in her. She one time questioned a friend who was on visit to Uganda. He had dreadlocks. That why do you have plaited hair, yet you're a man? So he felt so challenged because he wasn't used to it. I mean, Ugandan kids asking so openly. And maybe as a father, speaking to the fathers out there, that as we nurture our children, we must also be prepared to swallow our egos. I mean, to be humble enough when you nurture them that they have to question why a typical Norwegian child, okay, speaking from Norway, but I believe it's the same in Sweden and Denmark. A typical Norwegian child has 2-3 words embedded in their DNA. Why? What? Why is this? What is this? What is that? So there is too many of questioning why and that. I'll share from personal experience. I have, my daughter has engaged me in a very sensitive talk where she asked, and when I shared this with a couple of friends that she asked me ABCD, they were like, how dare you let a child ask you that? How? But these were sensitive questions. And when I tried to dodge, she told me, but Dad, you've already told me that I'm confident enough. I have to be smart, that I can take in anything. I have to ask, because you also told me to ask. You also asked me. So I calmed down. I had to share what she asked about. So it takes courage for a typical African father address questions raised by children. So, but okay, that was a sport to share from personal experience. But as we wind up, Jovia,
Yes,
share with
Moses.
us on those aspects you feel that must be upheld despite the cause of integration.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, if I'm going back to restate the question, you're saying that in simple terms, I state the values that I've decided to keep as an individual.
Perfect.
Yes. This is not a rule, our viewers. This is just me sharing what I have chosen to take with me. And yeah, this answer might change depending on when we shall next interact. But yeah, like I said, life is a learning process. But as per now, today, what I have focused my energy on is the first thing I put forward above everything is letting my children know that we are African. Because it's a bit harder for them to explain to other people that we are Black, we are Ugandan, but we are African, and then we are Ugandan. It doesn't matter whether we are speaking the language. It doesn't matter whether they will hold the passports. That one is a given. That don't even debate it. Don't say why his mommy is a bit lighter than other people that she hangs out with. We are Black. I may not exactly, it's not the color, but it is how we call ourselves. And that one we've held as a value. And two, I'm trying to, as much as possible, to teach them how rich our food is every opportunity that I get. Because I realize that in as much as another, like we are economic immigrants, as I may feel, generalize the situation, but doesn't necessarily mean that where we came has all the values that we want or are better than where we came from. I've actually realized that where we came from, we really had good food. And these are the things we used to take for granted. It has been so hard for us to get nice pineapples, nice avocado, nice mangoes. So every time we get an opportunity to experience that, I am proud to tell them this comes from where we come from. It is good, and you might not be able to get this good anywhere else in the world. So I've held on to that. And I think what tops it all up, that this is a value that I will share with, that I share with Judith and you, Brother Moses, is that I have told them that no matter where you are, no matter who you are a child of God. And that encompasses so many things, that you are chosen, that everything that has been designed for you will work for you, that life it doesn't guarantee that life is going to be easy, but you will make it through. And I keep telling them, you know why I know that you'll make it through? Because you were born of a smart mother, you are born of a smart father, you have smart parents. That doesn't mean, so that automatically means you are smart and you have the ability to go through this. With time, we have had challenges with the language. That one is giving us a run for our money, and I'll give you credit, Judith, for being able to speak it. But we have not given up. We talk, they hear us, and we hope maybe by next time we share this topic, I'll be able to put that star in to get that medal and say that we have gotten there. But it's a process. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Jovia. I will say it every now and again that one of the most amazing and beautiful things that have happened to me for the 8 years I've lived in Norway is Euroforum. I mean, sitting on a digital, desk with intellects and share nuggets of knowledge, reflections, and thank you so much. Yes, Judith, you share your insight as well on the same question. But before that, Simoji John Remy asks, the presenter, what if both parents are from a different country, culture, but found themselves here? How do they tally this in this topic of discussion? Okay, we're about to wind up, but I'll just request for a short reflection on this. a short one, just after Judith has talked. Jovia, you say something small, and you will also say your last remarks as we close this show. But also to let you know, our dear viewers, Smoji John Remy is a friend and one of the credible people I know living in Denmark. He will soon be one of the hosts on Euroforum. So there will be cases where you won't see me and see him. He's one of the people I admire so much, and he has a very good touch on juggling through topics, and the humor he has as he hosts is one that is very unmissable. So be on the wait as we carry on. Judith, just to refresh the question, those values you never let hold of despite levels of integration. Share with us.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Jovia, and to you, our host, Mr. Mugisha, thank you so much. Some of the things that I've retained that have been of help to me, even at this stage, after I say 24 years in Europe and coming here as a child and facing this dilemma in being an African or a Ugandan in Denmark, facing these challenges here, doing the do's and the don'ts from my parents. I retained one thing that has helped me carry on. Many of us parents or children, we come from Africa as believers and we drop that. That is our strength. Mm. Yes, we know that even back home, our parents, even when they could not solve certain issues, imagine we come from a background where people are poor. How do you think these people have made it through this generation? They have had to believe in God. So please don't drop your faith you have in God. Some of us come here and we think, oh, these things were just to make Africans go to church. No, these things have shaped Africans. These things have made us strong. These things, that's why today, the things that you find in Africa, those special things that are in Africa that are not taken out are being held by these special things like believing in God. So please retain that. And the other thing I will concur with Madame Jovia. If you have a child and you're a parent, because we are talking to parents and we are talking also to teenagers or children who are able to listen, retain the fact that you are African. Love yourself. That is important. Love God, number one. Love yourself. Don't deny yourself that you're an African, because that's where confusion and stress and depression comes from. Dear parents seated there, show your children that you're an African and you love it. It doesn't matter how you came, because maybe some of us ran from our countries and we are refugees here. Still, you can be a refugee happy as an African here in Denmark or in Europe or wherever. Be a happy African, because you can never be a Norwegian. You can never, even after holding a Danish passport, me sometimes I even feel shy when I take it out. Because yeah, when you arrive at the airport in Uganda, of course they take it but they know you are black. I can never even stand here at work and I say I'm a Den. I don't, even if in the passport it's written on that I'm Danish, but I don't say that because I'm an African. And someone is going to say, oh, why don't you say that? No, I want to be happy that I'm an African. So you too, retain your skin, retain your hair. These are the things that will remain with even when you face discrimination and acceptance. These are the things that make you, and these are the things that you move on. These are the things, in fact, like we mentioned before, this is the person, your child you're bringing from Africa, the child you're giving birth to here is seeing. They want to see you, mommy, happy. They want to see you, daddy, happy. They want to see you, even if whatever job you're doing, be happy about it. Retain that, because that is what is going to give birth to a happier generation and maybe make us happy as parents when we grow older. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Just to let you know that I always urge you that the time I spend on Euroforum is both to those watching us, to those speaking sports of ideas and knowledge, but also I'm creating an archive to my girls that someday, 10 years, 15 years from now, as they get inspired by what Barack Obama has written, by what Oprah Winfrey has written, by what, name them all, Nelson Mandela and the like, I should be on the list. I mean, their dad or mom should be on the list. So they will someday search Euroforum UG, they'll find this knowledge. So just also to let you know that what you've shared here, that someday your children will watch them. So, and also a spot of inspiration to the guests yet to come on Euroforum, that every spot you get may not necessarily be Euroforum, but I'm speaking on behalf of Euroforum, that this is knowledge being stored in the archives. This is knowledge that is being kept, that as we inspire others, we are taking it direct from our home, that someday our children will be watching this and know that our parents walked a path of substance. As we wind up, Jamila just landed on your message here, Jamila and Majori. She must be knowing you. We are here with the pastor's wife, Judith Musigire, the wife to Pastor Kato Yusuf. To those following Euroforum, you must have realized that for the last about 2-3 months, we are streaming a church service at around 11. That is Christian Love Fellowship Church in Copenhagen. So the lady here, Judith Musigire, is the wife to the pastor, church pastor of that church. We are delighted to have you, and greetings to you, Pastor Kato Yusuf. I know you're watching, and all the members of that church. Jovia, she's also a lady that is very immersed in serving God. She belongs to Stockholm International Church and SDA Church. A special greetings to all the members of Stockholm SDA Church. We should be winding up, but I cannot help looping into this question by Simoji Remy. It's a simple one. What if both parents are from different countries but found themselves here? How do they tally this in this topic? A very quick one. Jovia, your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's a good question. Thank you, Brother Moses. Before I wind up, I might forget to do this. I think I was on the wrong side of this forum. I should have just listened to Judith today because I Madam class.
No.
Yes, I have learned, and
But you both agreed that we learn from one another.
Yes, I'm very grateful for everything that you have shared, and it's the knowledge is not going to go unnoticed. We hope to implement it in how we're living our lives. Back to the question in our lives. Back to the question: what if you're both coming from different cultures? I think we need to stop looking at it as an extra. Having extra knowledge as a curse. It's a blessing. You have been exposed more than other people have been. Just because I'm married a Nigerian doesn't mean that together we are fufu, we have to eat matoke. We can eat matoke today and eat fufu tomorrow, Or maybe for us, we used to eat cow hooves, and the Nigerian doesn't really understand that. Either teach them or let it go, or eat them in your own time. But find a way, like the way you found a way to make the relationship work, find a way to make the children work, because children are learning. Are learning. I want to make my closing remarks. And unfortunately, it's not one statement. They're going to be around 4 statements, but I hope they will be able to cover everything that we've talked about. One, the most important one I want to put across today, like Judith has been emphasizing, and I'm trying to tell myself as a parent that be the parent you needed while you are growing up. The children need you. You may think that they are acting up, but they are facing situations that they may not be able to talk about. You have been a child before, regardless of whether you were in Sweden, Denmark, or Norway. You were in Uganda. You went through phases that you needed an adult to be there. Now the tables have been turned and you're that adult. Please be that adult. The second point, teach them young, because if you're not teaching, like we have seen, the moment your child walks out of that door, they don't even need to walk out of that door. The moment they switch on that phone or they watch that TV, the moment they hear you talk, they see an uncle visit, they are learning. If you're not teaching, someone is definitely teaching. So you're safer teaching them right. And also while you're teaching them, be their greatest fan. applaud them for all the things that they go through, because I felt that as we were growing up, we missed out on this, and it has set us back many generations. And the last point I want to point out, that it's coming from a quote, that the illiterate of the future are those who are not those who can't read or write, but those are they are those who cannot learn, who cannot unlearn, and who cannot relearn. They are cultures that we have come with that are working for us, that worked for our parents. Please learn them if you didn't know them. They are cultures that we came with that one didn't exactly serve us to the best of our interests. Unlearn as a parent. And there are things that we need to relearn. There are things that you thought were supposed to be working in a specific way, but you actually learned it wrong. Let us not be rigid, like Moses said. Let us be able to relearn. And in this whole process, may God be help us as we teach our children culture in another world, in another land. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jovia. I at times interject as guests speak, but sometimes I'm subconsciously held hands tied when some people are speaking. Some people flow and you don't even find a loop where to just loop and say, may I just add something? I just love the way you ladies flow. Lady Judith, as you wind up, one parent is from Kenya, another is from Ghana. Yes. What are your thoughts looping into this discussion?
Again, I'm going to go back to my own example. Growing up with a father and a stepmother, those can be two different parents. Though maybe not in the aspect of having one from Nigeria, one from Uganda. I will concur with Madame Jovia. Still, for example, if the child belongs to the father and you're the real father, please come in with, teach your other half who is Swedish, Danish, teach them what you want. Don't let the kid just grow on one side. Teach them. Don't give up. Be part of it, whether you're the father or the mother, be part of it. My own father was also part of, even if my stepmother was doing a part, my father came in to teach me also what he had to teach me because he was the father. So come in and, go in. Even when kids are quarreling, interject, come in and teach your other half how to bring up this child. Do it together. And of course, remember to be sorry where you make mistakes. Communicate face to face with your kids. Dear parents and me, myself, let's put our phones away and communicate more with our children. Because our phones are making our kids feel less important to us. And they even fear to question us. And we even fear to, to even talk to them. Please, as I finish up, let us learn together. You're helping me, I'm helping you. There is a quote that says that an African child is raised by a village. Let us not stop. This is the village. Today, the village is Zoom. Thank you, Mr. Mugisha. This is the village where we are, that we are going to bring up our kids together. Thank you so much. But I believe the viewers and us, let us work together. And please, lastly, don't stop learning like Madame Jovia said. Allow other people to talk to you. I myself, I must allow you to talk to me. When you see my child on the street doing something crazy, send me a text if you can't face me. But let us allow. No, we should do that. I'm a product of other people watching me. I'm a product of all those people who saw me on the street when I was doing funny things and they told my parents. We parents, let us not be annoyed if someone comes in to advise you or talk to you. Let us be open to receiving and learning. We are going to be better people in this society because it will be absurd to see one of our child being deported or seeing them on the TV, on the headlines that they did something crazy. Yet all of us have been given the chance to bring these kids, either by this forum or by our churches or by our communities. Let us do something. Thank you, Mr. Mugisha. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. And I believe this is not the stop, but a very good start. Bless you all.
Thank you so much. Actually, just to supplement your last remarks, this topic we indicated episode 1, implying that we have several of them. This is not a topic you can just break in pieces. Yes, as I also share, this is a message to you, my fellow fathers, both living here, but majorly you living in Uganda. I have two daughters, 2 years old and 9 years. The one who is 9, Jemima in Uganda, Jemima one time posed me a very hard question. I have those girls are born to different mothers. Jemima asked me, but Dad, why did you choose to have my sister in another wife? You watching me, think through what you would respond. But as for me, I swallowed my pride because I've trained her to ask. I've trained her because I've learned from experience, and that I've learned it from here. The gateway to your child's heart and mind is dialogue. Let them speak, allow them to ask. That's when you know what they think, the challenges they go through, and the little talents they have in there. So as for me, I braved that question. Of course, it was very challenging, asking you that. And actually, as I responded, I first told her, okay, Jemima, you say, okay, we shall talk about this maybe some other time. And but she told me, but Dad, you've always told me to believe in myself, that I can understand and manage everything. So he told me, even this right now, I can take it in. So it was a very challenging, question and moment, but I was challenged, but as well, thankful for the girl we've raised. So to you, a father out there, you know what you would respond. Friends told me, how dare you let your child ask you that? And that's the problem. When we think, we are too fatherly, we are too much of fathers that we cannot swallow our pride to talk to our children. So it's only sharing from personal experience, but you also know what to take from this. Special greetings to you, Jamila, Bumatovu Oslomeya, Salin Shida. Salin Shida, send greetings to Kai Kai from Janelle, and Smoji John Remy, and many others. To you, Ugandans living in Norway, this Saturday, 22nd October, we shall be celebrating our independence, having our independence party. We invite you all Ugandans in Norway and those living in countries around Norway. Special invitation to you, Lady Judith Musigire, together with Pastor Kato Yusuf, Jovia Mkwaya, and your friends. We want to invite you to come celebrate with us the independence in Norway here. We shall have a match before that, and then wind up with the party. We are guided and walked through these programs by Kajansi Vacation Home. It's a holiday home located in Kajansi, about 5 minutes away from the main road. Contacts are usually shared here, but it's a very cozy place with very flexible services, and you get a package. You pay for one, you get 4. And we also are supported by Auntie Pani, Mauma's Bites and Flavors. She's branded as Auntie Pan because she sells one of the most delicious pancakes I've tasted. She also brings in Sendene here to Norway and delivers them, together with, of course, with chapatis and samosas. But we shall not drag this program any further than this, apart from sending votes of appreciation to our viewers who have kept interactions flowing in. Keep tuned in for episode 2 of this very topic. Which culture should a child dominate? I rather should dominate a child's life in the diaspora. So many reflections, and I believe there are so many questions that maybe people have not been so comfortable share here. But at least as you ladies leave, there is this positive feedback from John Remy. Both guests have digested the topic well. Thanks.
Thank you.
So at least this we won't have to wait to get it. So thank you so much. We shall sign out for now. Moses Mugisha is my name. Unless you ladies have a word before we close, but we shall hold it here. Okay, we sign out for now. Thank you so much. This is Euroforum. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and also finding videos like me here in Norway, John Remy, Tom Crane in Denmark. There is Jorin in Sweden, and Muhumuza Gibson in Uganda. There is Isian in Uganda. We are a team. In as much as you see only a few faces, but there are so many uncelebrated heroes behind Euroforum. Thank you so much. We sign out for now. Okay, we are no longer live. Topic is surely